is it turns with the cards next to it, and you've got two cards next to it. You've got the Lover's card and the Hanged Man. Okay, so the Hanged Man is about letting go of control, giving the issue over to our higher power, our guides or angels, whatever you call the greater forces at work in the universe. And the Lover's card tends to represent a relationship. Okay, so there's definitely work going on between this Wheel of Fortune, a relationship, and handing timing or handing this relationship over to a higher power. Okay, your crowning card is the Knight of Pentacles. So, Knight of Pentacles is either going to represent an earth sign, male or female, who's having quite a big impact on you, Aries, or the emphasis of the week, the energy that's really dominant, is taking steps along the very, very practical areas of your life. It's a night, which means you might be receiving news or you might be going forward. So you might be looking for a new job, a new house. There might be change in the fundamental areas of your life. You've also got a change in the wind, which points to the same sort of energy, that there's changes going on here. And I think they're particularly very positive changes. There might be some fear attached to these changes, but with change comes fear. Okay? The Hanged Man quite often speaks to a sense of being in the unknown, a sense of waiting. So there might be a little bit of fear attached to this change, Aries, but I don't see it at all as negative. Far from it. You've got the Star card, which is about faith, healing, a new era, being willing to be seen, to be vulnerable. So I'm actually really, really liking this reading. My feeling is there's change around the material, where you live, what you do for a living, your finances, and maybe there's some changes around a relationship taking place. There might be a relationship that's moving to a new stage. Because the Hanged Man's there, it sort of represents not totally being in control of the process. Now, at the end of the day, we're not in control of very much in the universe, apart from our state of mind, our consciousness, what we put out into the world. But really, it's the Wheel of Fortune, it's cards like that that dictate the changes that happen in our lives. You do start the week with the King of Cups. So I really, really love this for you. I've got a feeling of quite a lot of emotional stability. This king sits on a throne. Underneath his throne is the ocean, which is the collective emotions. But for some reason, Aries, you're in a really, really stable emotional position. Yeah, very grounded, very centered in your own heart. It does come with the Seven of Swords. So sometimes the Seven of Swords can be about looking at what you're leaving behind. Okay, so this character is about someone going forward. He's carrying these five swords. He's going through an archway, but he's turning to look behind at the two swords he's left. So that's a really, really interesting combination of cards. It's because you've got this emotional calm. I call it emotional sovereignty. You're calm in the sea of change, and even other people's emotions might be turbulent, Aries, but you've got this beautiful calm. There's still a sense, at least within your own mind, of moving forward, but being a little bit still looking over your shoulder a little bit, Aries. Don't worry, don't give anything any more power than it needs to be. Just let the process unfold. because right next to it is the Hanged Man, and the Hanged Man is the energy of allowing things to unfold. It represents the higher chakra, um, which is about faith, trust, surrender, all those things that we can be so hard to do at times, Aries, okay? But that's really what's asked of you, to trust the process that you're involved in. You've also got the Queen of Swords around you. Now, she's traditionally an air sign, male or female. So you might be feeling a little bit, it's very interesting you've got these two cards together, because not only have you got that emotional control, there's a potential for you to work with your mind. The Queen of Swords sees 360 degrees, okay? She's got full vision. Her third eye is lit up and she's got the sword of truth. So try not give any of your precious time, Aries, to doubts, to fears, or to insecurities. Go with the Hanged Man, go with this energy of surrender. On a real practical level, that Hanged Man quite often is described as someone who's pregnant and who's about to give birth, okay? So what that's saying is the whole process is happening, but you might be in a period of waiting, a period of gestation. And my advice is don't give in too much to fear. Keep allowing the major arcanas to take you forward, because the Hanged Man is someone who's on the road to enlightenment, okay, who sees this greater picture, who trusts that what's unfolding is for the greater good. Because what's unfolding for you, Aries, is the greater good. I can absolutely guarantee it. Because after this period of gestation, there's a little bit of waiting. And I love the fact that you've got this emotional calm. Okay, because that's the way to deal with the Hanged Man. The opposite way to deal with the Hanged Man is to go into fear and anxiety. I call it mind the gap. Because when we go into that gap, sometimes fears come up. And you do have the Nine of Swords, which can represent fear, and the Seven of Swords. So don't give too much time to your mind. Go into your breath, go into your body, and keep moving forward. So as I said before, you move into the Lover's card. So this can be a relationship that's really, really important to you, Aries. And it comes with the Emperor, which is your own card. The Emperor is I will, I am. And the Emperor goes out into the world to make things happen. He's your archetypal father of the deck. It's about taking authority, taking personal power, owning personal power. So you might be owning personal power around a relationship theme, Aries. There might be a choice that has to be made. You might have to make some decisions. My advice, Aries, with this Lover's card, it's about facing two choices. One choice is to go down the same old path, you keep on walking, and the other choice is to follow your heart. The person in the Lover's card follows his heart, and he immediately becomes enlightened. It's about waking up to your true nature, your true desires, and your true heart, your true self, really, Aries. My one piece of warning is sometimes the Emperor can be quite shut down. He can be quite hard to be in relationship with, because it's like being with a brick wall. The Emperor's job is to go out and manifest, so he's not the most relational card. So be careful of shutting down, of cutting someone off, okay? Embrace the energy of the Lover's card. And I think you will, Aries, because right next to it comes a Star card. So when it comes to intimacy, the Star card is one of the most positive cards, okay? Because this lady's naked. She's allowing herself to be seen, and she's not got too many barriers up, and she's not got too many boundaries up. This is about intimacy. It's also, her third eye is also wide open, same as the Queen of Swords. And she understands, as she gives to the world, she's automatically receives. This is about the law of exchange. So the Star card doesn't fear love, and it doesn't fear intimacy. It's about giving graciously and receiving graciously. Now the Star card is also the healing card of the deck. So if any Aries have been unwell, or you've been quite stressed out, the Star card is the ultimate in healing card. It's about receiving divine grace, because no matter how much we try and push things to happen and make things happen, everything happens in divine grace, divine timing. And you've got both the Wheel of Fortune and the Star card, which is really, really speaking to me of auspicious and positive events of unfolding for you, Aries, if you allow it. Again, because people say we're not, we can't resist the majors, but we can. But that's how we keep ourselves unhappy, and that's how we keep ourselves in very stuck life positions. We choose to resist them. The answer is always to open up to them. Even the sometimes more challenging ones is to open up, to allow their energy in. And I think you are with that Star card. It comes with the Nine of Swords. So the nines, all the nines tend to be about you being separate, because the next cards are the tens, which are sharing. The Nine of Swords is about fear and anxiety held in the mind. So it tends to run a mental script about what's going to happen in the future. Anxiety runs off to the future, and it creates this scenario. And obviously, it creates tremendous fear and tremendous worry. I'm going to pull you another card for this Nine of Swords, because I don't know if the Star card is talking about bringing healing to the Nine of Swords, which is simply healing your mind, Aries. So rather than being in this very cut-off Nine of Swords, you're opening up your true mind, which is the spiritual eye, and trying to get a bigger perspective on situations, and allowing healing in, and allowing divine light into it. Because when we allow light into the energy of the Nine of Swords, it starts to disperse, and it starts to breaking up. Because the Nine of Swords is fear. It can also represent that feeling of not being good enough, the shadow side of us, the low self-esteem. Am I lovable? Will I be rejected? Okay, now ask for another card, and you got the Sun card.